You're listening to Little Rockers Radio, and today we are chatting to Lauren, who's a professional full-time nanny and also a committee member of the Australian Nanny Association. And the reason we're talking to Lauren this week is it's actually Nanny Appreciation Week this week, isn't it, Lauren?
That's right.
The week is Nanny Appreciation Week, so it's a whole range of different activities that are happening through the week for Nanny Appreciation Week, and then it leads up to the Australian Nanny Convention, which is held in Melbourne this Saturday, and we'll get onto that at the end of the conversation, and we have a few bits and pieces to talk around that. But I actually thought it would be really good just to catch up with you today, Lauren, to talk a little bit around being a nanny. I must say that both my kids are 8 and 6 now, and when they were younger I had them in childcare, and I actually never even thought of looking down the path of having a nanny or hiring a nanny. So I'm quite keen just to find out what you do, how it all works as being a nanny, whether you work with one family or a range of families, and I suppose just start the discussion from there in terms of what your typical full-time day looks like as a nanny.
Cool. Yeah, great. I'm a full-time nanny. I work for myself under an ABN. So if you were talking about my service, I kind of tailor my packages to suit families on a bit of a casual basis. So I have 3 families through the week and they have me for 1 to 2 days. Right. But the thing with nannying is it is quite broad. So you're also going to find there are plenty of nannies out there who are employed like a full-time employee with their family. Mm. Nannies could also be employed just like an employee through an agency. There's such a broad range of, arrangements out there that nannies work under. So it really depends on each family and what their needs are. So I think it's really important for the family to negotiate with the nanny what they're looking for.
Yeah, and that makes sense because I suppose every family would differ to such a great degree, and you might be looking for occasional care is also a possibility, is it?
Some nannies do ad hoc work, so they base their service around, a last-minute booking or someone that's just completely stuck and they need help. Yeah. But I guess the main sector of the industry does have a permanent position with regular hours.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. It's definitely something that I never really thought of or pursued, but I think it's probably growing in popularity, especially as it becomes more and more difficult with busy lifestyles and all that sort of thing to juggle the kids and fit them into care and all that sort of thing. So nannying, I suppose, is a more flexible way of managing everything while your children are growing up, really, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do what I do so that I can support double income families with 2 professionals to do a job that they love and, have that stable income where I guess they don't have to worry about, what's happening in the home. As soon as they arrive home, everything's taken care of. All they have to do is spend time as a family. Yeah. And I think that's why nannying is so different to childcare because it is in the home. It is that extra bit of support. My service is all-inclusive, so when my parents come home, the house is sparkling, the laundry's finished, all you can smell is dinner. And, I've incorporated documented programs for each of my nanny kids, so the time I spend with the children is also with enriched experiences based on their interests. So you can really find a nanny that would suit your lifestyle. And I think lots of people find that a good nanny becomes so much more than just a nanny.
Oh, I can just imagine. I'm listening to you talk thinking, I want you in my home.
I love what I do, and I love that reaction that I get, and I love the sense of relief that I see my parents feel because they have got that support. And I think having a career for most people is really healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're so right. It's above, because when you've got your children in childcare, you rush to pick them up, you come home, the house is just as messy as when you left it in the morning, you've got to cook dinner and all those things. So it's like, it's a complete family support. It's a complete family supportive role, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, before we obviously went on air with the interview, I was asking you a little bit around how a family looks for a nanny and and typically how much it would cost, but really your answer was how long is a piece of string, because it depends on whether you've just got someone to come and look after the kids and that's it, or someone to come and really it's a nanny encompassing a whole range of different roles, including house cleaning, cooking, and you've said you document strategies on what you do with the children throughout the day and all that sort of thing. So that comes with a completely different sort of price, hourly rate. So it's a hard question for you to answer, isn't it?
Well, I guess there's always a square one, and the advice I have for families out there considering a nanny is just get organised early. Think about who you are as a family and who would slot in nicely. This is going to be so much more than just an employee. This person is going to become a part of your life. So really think about who would be compatible to you, and that's when you start your search. Now, the recruitment stage could go through an agency, and that's the easy thing because then they take care of everything for you, but you do pay for that. But I do encourage, active families to look themselves, because with Facebook and social media these days, communities are much more connected and word of mouth spreads faster. So, you could easily find a nanny yourself. And I guess the important things to note are the things that you should take into consideration. Do you want to employ your nanny? Do you want your nanny to run under an ABN? Do you want household duties to be included? You need to think about the service so that you can be fully transparent during the recruitment process. So, a couple of other things, you want to ask for a first aid certificate and CPR. Whatever state you're in, you need to make sure they've got the required police checks, that, the clearance to work with children. And then you go up to the optional tiers. Do you want them to have a vehicle and be able to drive the children? Are they qualified with a certificate or a diploma? So nutting all that out, that's where you can come to, a pay rate. And your base setup look, you need to employ the nanny above minimum wage. Unfortunately, there are still quite a lot that fall well below it. Right. But a very fair full-time wage with leave and entitlements and superannuation on top is, in my opinion, $22 an hour. Right. That's for someone not qualified who will do nothing but watch the children. Right. It moves all the way up. As I mentioned, my service is a lot more involved. I charge in the high 30s, and I guess it goes on from there. So, you really need to look at the service that you want. What's that dollar value mean for you? And of course, you need to meet the nanny halfway with a fair arrangement so she can have a decent income and a career. Yeah, absolutely. Moving forward in her job too.
Yeah, and you mentioned the qualifications to us to look out for. Obviously, experience is a huge thing as well. So how long they've been working as a nanny or in childcare or with children or what have you. But what sort of qualifications would you generally? I know that it's not required, but if you were looking for qualifications, what would you look for?
I hope to see a nanny qualification introduced soon, but in the meantime, for me, the definition of a qualified nanny would be someone with a Certificate 3 in childcare or a diploma in childcare. Right. But, I know so many nannies who aren't qualified, who have 20 plus years experience. Exactly. They're the career nannies. And I guess to find those guys, if you want something on paper for, their experience, that's where you go to your testimonials and your references, because nothing speaks louder than a paragraph from a family who said that they couldn't live without that nanny. So if you put feelers out there and you find someone without a qualification, don't be scared to ask the hard questions about their previous employers and hear firsthand why they're a good nanny.
And even ask for references, I suppose, too, which is what you would do when you're employing anyone in any position. You always speak to who they've been with previously. So I would feel that you could do the same sort of thing in this situation as well.
Yeah, and just it's a gut feeling. Like when you are interviewing someone, I can't explain enough how many times I've sat with a family for an interview and I've just gone, yep, these are my guys, because I know that we're compatible. We have the same values. I mean, everyone parents so differently and everyone nannies so differently. So that needs to match. And that's something you can't have in a qualification.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially because you said there, you're really integrating into the family. You're not just in for a couple of hours and then leaving. So your values and all of those sorts of things really do need to match up. So gut, I assume that gut would come into it a lot in that regard. If there's people out there that are looking to become a nanny or want to work as a nanny, where do they go? Do they go to the Australian Nanny Association to find out more, or where do they start?
Yeah, I'm a committee member on the Australian Nanny Association, and we're, I guess, the main peak body of nannies in Australia. We have a Facebook page. If you search us, you'll find it. And you can PM that page to talk to one of the committee members around where square one might be.
Yep.
We also have a list of agencies that are members with us, so we can point you in the right direction depending on, I guess, your location. But, you know, every journey is going to be so different. So it really depends on how far you want to go with it. I mean, I was in childcare and I made the change. I jumped over because I wanted to be my own boss. And all I did was just start asking around in my community for anyone that wanted a nanny, and it kind of went from there. So, like we've said plenty of times, it's quite a broad subject. So if you get in touch with the ANA, we can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, fabulous. And when I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, when I was doing your intro, we've got the Nanny Convention, which is coming up this Saturday at Ibis Hotel in Melbourne. Tell us just quickly a little bit about that convention. Yeah,
great. It's so exciting. The Australian Nanny Association has put in so much work to this, and I guess there's been a lot of talk about nannies in the government lately, so I really feel like the spotlight is on our industry at the moment, and it's really exciting to be a part of it. But we have over 100 people attending. It's the biggest meeting of the nanny industry in the history of Australia, so everyone is coming to, I guess, touch base, network. We have some amazing speakers who are going to be going over nanny relevant topics so that you can get a feel for, I guess, maybe some extra personal development that you may want. There's a segment on nanny self-defense. We've got the Bring Back Play as a theme, so we're going to be going through, I guess, how you can bring play back to being a nanny. And it's just going to be really exciting because it is quite an isolated industry. I personally work with babies, so my days can be quite lonely. So it's really cool because unlike most jobs, you don't have colleagues, you don't have managers, you don't have that connection. So we're all really excited because we're going to be together at once and network and put faces to names, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, it sounds fabulous. And it's completely sold out, isn't it?
Yes, sold out a couple of weeks ago.
Wow. But you mentioned to me that you have a ticket that we can give away.
Yeah, and if you get in, I could possibly have 2 tickets to give away. So it's definitely one, highly likely going to be 2. We would love to give it away if anyone's interested in coming.
Okay, so if you're a nanny, or even if you're thinking about maybe becoming a nanny, or you wanted to come along and you missed out on a ticket, then you can. All the information will be on the Little Rockers Radio website and obviously through social media as well. But if you want to try and get your hands on one of these tickets, then you can email socialmedia@australiannannyassociation.org.au and mention in 25 words or less why you would love to go along. And as I said, don't worry if you didn't manage to jot down that email then. We'll pop it all up on the website. But yes, so 25 words or less why you'd love to go. And I'll be there on the weekend as well. I'm really looking forward to it and looking forward to meeting a whole bunch of nannies. Come along. It would be great. It would be great to have a winner come along and see what it's all about. So
it's a very hot ticket. Everyone wants it.
So thanks very much for joining us today, Lauren. I look forward to, I'll be seeing you on Saturday, so I look forward to meeting you in person there, not over the phone. And thanks very much for opening our eyes a little bit more to nannying in Australia.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. Pleasure.